Y'all, today's show is so good.
But number one, I've never seen an intro like that.
It is my hope and desire that not only will episode 30 still be fun, but episode 300 will be even more fun. You were made for something great, so go and be awesome.
Ten seconds remaining.
And welcome to the show. My name is Renee Hastings, and I'm your host of Renee Speaks. Y'all, this episode is brought to you by Executive Help Now and powered by live stream editors. At Executive Help Now, we're all about simplifying your business so you can focus on what really matters. From streamlining operations and managing your back office to producing podcast shows and keeping everything organized, our team is here to help you thrive. So if you're ready to make your life just a little bit easier, hit us up at www.executivehelpnow.org. Y'all, I am so excited to share with you our guest for today. His name is EA. And he is the founder of Pivot and Edge, and he's helping leaders hire smarter by turning their company story into a magnet for the right talent. With over 30 years of experience in recruitment, he has built and sold a startup, served as a founding executive, and helped raise nearly $14 million while helping teams scale. Y'all, put your hands together for EA Clarke. Hi, EA. Can you hear me? EA? EA, can you hear me okay?
I can't hear you.
Uh-oh. Hi, Renee and EA. Christelle says hi. Maybe our behind the scenes amazing team members can help EA and help me get heard.
Hi, there we are.
Can you hear?
Can't hear
EA?
you.
Can you hear me okay? It looks like we might be having some technical difficulties with our speaker. How about now, EA? Is that better? Could you check your settings? EA, your settings for audio? You may want to check those. There's settings on the side. And I'm super excited while we work through your speaker issues and audio issues. We are definitely going to be talking more about how hiring the right people for your company is so critical, especially if you want to scale and go from being a solopreneur or go from, just kind of working on your own, serving all your clients by yourself, to hiring the right people, because hiring the right people can really, truly make or break your business. And that's one of the things that we have discovered. I've discovered it my own self personally, that if we hire the wrong person, then all of the work that we have put into creating systems and processes and ensuring the right fit kind of go out the window, because this one bad hire can make things just mess everyone on the back end. and through the systems. What is the old saying? It just takes one bad apple to upset the whole apple cart. And yeah, so we certainly don't want that to be the case. And so EA is an expert in all things HR and making sure that you are hiring smart, not just putting warm bodies in a seat, which so many founders are apt to do, but actually hiring for not just the right fit for skills, but making sure that they match your values and will represent you well to your clients that you have serving you. So it might be that EA might need to log out and come back in so that he can maybe reset his system so that we can continue the conversation about hiring smart with Pivot and Edge. So for the producers behind the scene working it out, I'm super excited that they're going to be able to help EA get online so that he can hear me communicating, because I think everyone else is able to hear. If you can hear me, put something in the chat to let me know that you're here. And that you can hear me okay, because I would love to know that everyone is hearing me. I see a message from Christelle. Christelle says, hi, Renee and EA. Christelle, can you hear me? If you're still there, and drop in the chat that you can hear me. And it's not just me. It's not that the rest of the world is able to hear us, because we are live on Facebook, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So if there's anyone out there on either of those platforms, feel free to chime in to let me know if you are having any difficulty hearing me. Christelle can hear me. She says, yes, I do. Yes, I hear you. So that's fantastic. I'm glad that you can hear me. So Christelle, thank you so much for joining us in the chat. And I'm super excited that you're here joining us today, because one of the things that I was most proud of was actually learning you and understanding you and who you are. Thank you for joining and for your support of the show. You and I go way back, and I'm just so thrilled to have you. Rebecca says that she can hear us as well. So I'm super excited that Rebecca can hear us as well. So thank you for joining the show, Rebecca. Maybe if you are able to join us on the stream, that would be fantastic too, since we seem to be having some technical difficulties with EA. And I know that you and EA work very closely together. So the same questions I had for him, I'm sure that you could answer just as easily. So the StreamYard link to join is in the email, and feel free to join if you can. And otherwise, we're going to continue working with EA as we talk about scaling businesses and how Pivot and Edge helps to scale businesses, and why that is so critical to essential to smart startups and smart hiring. So while we work all this out, we will just continue to have conversations with those in the chat. Thank you guys so much for your support and for your patience. You know, technology can be our friend or foe. And right now, we're just praying in the name of Jesus that it will become our friend because we love technology. Come on, act right, technology. We want to hear from EA. He has lots to say. So many years of experience and so much to share with us today. So we are just really so excited to have him on the show. EA, you're back. Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. Wow, that was. Right. Wow, that was quite the. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for. Holy cow.
Holy camoly. Well, I've been singing your praises, EA, so I got them primed
Great.
and ready for you.
Great. Great. Thank you. Yeah, that was odd. Daryl and I were fine, and as soon as you came on, I wasn't. So anyway, we're back.
Yeah, we are back. We are ready to rock and roll. We've even got Rebecca in the backstage with us. If we want to bring her on, we're happy to do so. It will be a fantastic show.
Okay.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, welcome to Renee Speaks. We are super excited to have you here. Everyone knows about your amazing background and all the incredible things that you have done for Pivot and Edge. And we just want to jump right in and find out more now. What inspired you to start Pivot and Edge? I mean, tell us a little bit about your background. I don't know if you always have been an entrepreneur, but was there a defining moment that made you say, I'm doing this on my own? I'm doing this.
So this is my third launch of a company, either on my own as the founder or as a partner in other companies or key executives. So this is not my first rodeo when it comes to early stage startups. I got the bug, this would be now almost 25, 30 years ago, and I enjoy the fact that you start something because you see a problem or you see a challenge, and it affects you personally. And when it affects you personally, you kind of feel like you need to do something about it. And recruiting was one of those. I've been in the executive search business for a long time, and I was an executive looking for recruitment help, and I realized that the whole model seemed broken to me. That it was this issue of resumes would come over the fence from search people that didn't really know what you wanted and didn't know the value of your company, and then when you finally found someone that you wanted, they charged exorbitant rates. And so I thought, this is really broken. So what I did is I launched Pivot and Edge, and we describe that as the reality is hiring isn't a recruiting problem. It's actually a marketing one. So we build a company that markets value, mission, vision, stories to candidates, and then through those storytellings, candidates are attracted to the opportunity. So this is a completely different way of doing it. It's not, I don't see it very often, if ever, in the marketplace. And we've done some incredible things in the last 8 or so years that we've been in business. So that's the story of where I am today.
So then would you consider yourself more of a talent firm or a marketing firm?
I'd like to say that we're marketing first. We solved that marketing problem. We market to candidates. We do have recruitment operational experience. So we do everything from, once we've attracted the candidates, we do everything from, interviewing them, selection, help the hiring manager make decisions, process candidates through the pipeline, do references on the end and when they go to hire. So we have all that operational backbone, if you will. And that's partly because a lot of our companies don't have that infrastructure. But when they do have that infrastructure, we often just apply a marketing pipeline approach to that. And they often come to us and say, we just can't find good people. And there's it's really interesting that the challenge is really good people can find opportunities. And so you have to be really good at attracting them. You can get lots of candidate flow, but you need quality. You need candidates that understand your mission, your vision, that'll fit into the culture that you built.
Yeah.
And when you don't do that, they don't stay, because there's a disconnect between what they think it is and what it should be, or that they're not a good fit to begin with. And so this recruiting approach that says I just tick the boxes, I have 3 years of this and I've been educated in this and I've done this. Well, those are all kind of table stakes that probably are requirements of the role, But those intrinsic values, those are the keys that get them to be very motivated, deliver, committed, stay, is all those cultural pieces. And you have to tell your story to get them interested. And if you don't tell their story, how the heck would they ever know that?
Right, exactly, 100%. And I can relate to this on so many levels. Last year, February, we went through a hiring blitz where I had this idea that we wanted to grow quickly in order to accommodate some large contracts that we were expecting to come in. And I had already, so I started the business Executive Help Now back in 2014. And from 2014 to last year, we put in systems in place. We have processes in place. We have onboarding and recruitment things already in place, right? And so we were doing all the things consistently all up until this time when we went through this mass hiring all at one time. So instead of just bringing on one person, making sure that they got acclimated, making sure they were understanding our culture and our ways and that sort of thing, we brought on all these brand new people. And within that whole process, we skipped a couple of our steps. And we discovered in that whole process that when you skip these steps, it's the domino effect of that was bananas. It was truly bananas because, like you said, we skipped the part where we found out more about what they valued.
Yes.
To make sure that their values aligned with us and who we are and how we operate and how we treat our clients and how we do our work with this standard of excellence and all the things. And so it was quite a learning experience for me, to say the very least. It was a learning experience that I will never forget, that has truly helped to shape who we are today from that experience. Does that make sense?
It does. And here's a concrete example. I was talking to Vice President of People and Culture just Tuesday, and we were talking about how we could help them. And she said, yes, of course you can, because when we do any recruiting, the first thing people say is, I don't know who you are. And they're in a larger metropolitan city, 250, 275 employees. They're a reasonably large employer. And many of the candidates, when they started to talk to them, said, you guys are the best kept secret in the city. And that's a terrible position to be if you're trying to attract top talent, because what are you attracting at that point in time if you're a kept secret? So I think we can do we can go a long way. We look at the president's LinkedIn profile, and it's terrible. We looked at the executive suite, and they don't tell any stories about themselves or why they're there or where they came from. And so today's candidates, they're very savvy. Good ones are very savvy. Lots of candidates are out there swiping right. Good, I'll apply. But good candidates are very savvy, and they go and say, well, what is it all about? What is the C-suite all about? Why are they there? What's their goals? What's their ambitions? Why are they in business? And they'll go to the LinkedIn profiles. They'll go to the website and look at the About Us section and look at the executive. If those stories aren't captivating, lots of them just say, I'm not interested. I'll move on to something better.
Right.
So it's interesting, as this person that heads up people and culture in this particular example, very, very progressive person. And she totally relates to the storytelling. And I was saying this to someone just today. I think it's a really interesting methodology or process to elevate human resources in the organization. Like if you look at the company today, if I wanted to create a storytelling component to it, where would it sit? It's not going to sit in sales. It's not going to sit necessarily in marketing, although it could. It's not going to sit in finance. But, you know, if you can create stories of the executive and stories of the highlight stories of the people that have decided to work there, it helps recruiting, it helps sales, it helps general promotion. This is not just a, as we say, it's not just a recruiting problem. It's so, you know, I do think there's significant room to identify somewhere in the organization that needs to be the responsible for storytelling, and that's something like we won an award here. We just got record sales. There just doesn't seem to be any place it sits so that people can go and find it.
Right. Well, and that, like you said, is definitely a problem because, as Amelia has said, she said, hiring is never one and done. It's always evolving or always learning. It's always, there's a process that we go through with each hiring experience. But how we're attracting the people, like you said, that's what really matters. What story are we telling that makes people want to come work with us? And whether that story lives in marketing or it lives in human resources, the story, I think, should be consistent throughout all the pages of the website, whether it's finance or any other component of the business. Everyone needs to be telling the same story or sharing something that makes someone say, yes, I want to work here. I actually, there was a vendor that I used back in the day. And when I just, for giggles, one day went onto the vendor's website and saw a spot where it said, join our team. Well, I certainly didn't want to join their team, but I wanted to see what it would have been like.
Yeah,
you know, what would I see? So I clicked on the button to join their team, and EA, I tell you, by the time I went through their first page was about who they are, where they're located, when they started, how they started, why they started, the problem they solve, and the special people like me who could be a part of their story. And so it kind of drew me in immediately. I'm like, I'm not even wanting to be a part of their story, but I might now.
Right. No, you know, that's like a perfect example. And in fact, this podcast today, you want to attract people that want to listen. The first thing you did was ask for my story.
Yeah.
Well, if my story was terrible, people would drop off. So just take that and apply it to recruiting. If your story isn't told, people are not interested in you.
Yeah.
We've been telling stories for a long time. That's how we've passed down information for generations. And I just think somehow, somewhere along the line, when you get into a corporation, you stop telling them. And I'm not sure, but some of them are, Apple probably still never stops talking about Steve Jobs or the story of the iPhone or the story. We all hear those things. That's culture, part of Apple lore, if you will. So there are large corporations that tell stories and continue to tell them. But I think when our focus is probably companies that are 50 to 100 million and smaller. That's kind of our sweet spot. Those companies don't have brands. They're not BMW or IBM or they're just not. So they can't rest on that brand. So the only way they can attract talent is through telling a story. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I love that. And all of us, no matter how large or small we are, have a story. We all have if we're a business owner, we have a story. And so it's just a matter of shaping that in such a way, from what it sounds like you're saying, it's a matter of shaping that in such a way that people gravitate to you because of what you've been through, where you've come from, the problem you solve, and making it so appealing that the person reading it would want to become involved in being a part of that, whatever that story
Whatever
is.
that, and you're right, every founder, every startup, every company the executive has a story. And I was visiting a potential customer just the other day, and they, just not to get into the details of it, but they basically take wastewater and somehow create iron filings out of it. Some process that they've discovered comes out of a local university, and they built this. And so they bought this giant warehouse that, honestly, it's probably a football field in size.
Wow.
And only there's a little corner of it that's got some wastewater that they're starting with. And we're standing up in the scaffolding, and I said, wow, you've got the process going, but I said, honest to goodness, when are you ever going to fill this warehouse with the wastewater that you need to kind of scale this thing up? And he looked at me and said, this one, I'm going to build 5 more of these.
Wow.
So that's the story, though. There it is. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
take long to find it. You just kind of poke a little bit, ask some questions about how they got to where they are. Every founder wants the opportunity to tell that. They're all very proud of them.
Yeah, of course. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. Exactly. Because it's not easy.
It is not. It absolutely is not. And so, EA, would you say that your building and selling and raising of all those millions of dollars, did that have any bearing or help to shape the mission that you have for Pivot and Edge?
Well, certainly along the line. I mean, and I think any executive that has gone through a VC round of any kind, a Series A, B, C, whatever, what's really, I laugh a little bit. I didn't laugh at the time. I laughed in hindsight. I remember when we raised significant money, and we had this, party, and we celebrated, but kind of the world came crashing down right after, because all of a sudden there's an expectation you got to do something with it, and you got to be successful with the money that you had. Mm-hmm. And part of the responsibility I had to grow the sales and marketing organization, and I was given a significant budget to do it, but quite honestly, I didn't know how. And that was like a sleepless nights on the couch, wondering what the heck. We got the money, but and everybody around us, the executive, there was 4 of us at the time, they all thought we knew how. They expected us to know how. Right. And we'd never been there before. So truth be known, we get in a room and talk about how we have no clue how we're going to do this, but we have to execute. So I found in that environment, that growth environment that I lived in directly, I didn't have the tools I needed to hire the talent I wanted. And so everything we've done in Pivot and Edge has been creating the tool set, so that, if that were me today, I would just overlay Pivot and Edge solution and sit back and watch the engine happen. And so, whether you're growing 5 people or 25 people, the key is the talent. And you Renee, you said it, you make mistakes. You don't necessarily know initially that it's a mistake. Right. But then over time you do, and then that mistake becomes extremely costly, very expensive, right? Yeah. So you got to do something to attract the talent that you need and the culture. Someone once said to me, recruiting is kind of what you want to do is you don't want to hire bricks, because when you hire a brick, it comes in, you throw it into the pond, and it creates these huge waves that aren't necessarily very helpful to you. You really want to hire pebbles. Pebbles make waves, but they're smaller. They look for ways of opportunity. They look for ways of changing things, but they're not totally disruptive in the vision and mission that you have. So I think that I always thought that was a really good analogy to say not bricks but pebbles, and defining that culture and getting the right culture.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you do hire the pebbles.
Yes, exactly. I love that. Not bricks, no bricks, pebbles
No
only.
bricks.
Pebbles.
I've hired a few bricks in my time, so I know what that means.
Yeah, and I love EA, your transparency and vulnerability and allowing us into that space, into that time when you were faced with this seemingly insurmountable task of
Mhm.
finding the right sales and marketing team and admitting, I don't exactly know how to do that. I don't know even where to start. Like, who do I call? Where do I go? How do I find the people that are right for us? And I love how you took that and used it as part of the foundation of Pivot and Edge so that nobody else has to suffer that way. Nobody else has to go through what you went through at that time because you are now their solution through
Yeah.
Pivot and Edge and this and the way that you help startups scale with smarter hiring.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more though about what challenges came as a result of hiring from within your network.
Oh yeah, the network hires.
Mhm.
Every what a leading question. I
Because
think
people think, right? Because people think, well, if they come from somebody I know, like, and trust, they've
yeah.
got to be good,
Do
right?
they though? Do they though?
Right,
First of all, it's really tough to fire a friend. So
right,
I'll just go there. So the reality is, if you hire someone you really and they're not good, then you're stuck a bit. Like, oh my goodness, that's my cousin's baseball coach. Geez, I don't know what am I going to do about that. So it almost is. It's second nature to kind of look at your current network and expand from that. Now, in both companies both the two companies before Pivot and Edge that I helped found, there were relationships that got me into those organizations, but I didn't rely on further relationships to build out the organization that I needed. And part of it too is that in sales, you don't have a lot of time to decide whether you've got the right person or not. It's a very expensive mistake.
yeah,
You not only are you not selling, but you've created all this situation where you're training and educating, and then you realize the person even educated can't do the job. So,
right. It's not their gift.
but it's not their gift. And I was in a situation in one of the early stage companies I was with. We did hire a friend of the executive, and that person was a terrible fit. And they caused significant challenges in the organization until we ended up dealing with that. So I've lived through that myself. I see it all the time. And I
Yeah,
think it's just founders, they're so busy, they try to take what might appear to be the easy way out, right? I know
right.
someone filled the job. I just think, I think if you just hired Pivot and Edge, you'd you'd surround yourself with significantly better executives. So
Right, for sure. And Jamal Carter, 1990 says, network hires can feel like a safe bet, but they don't always guarantee the right fit. Yeah,
yeah.
Jamal, we are right here with you. We're seeing eye to eye on that. Because
That sounds like Jamal has lived that personally. That's what that sounds like to me.
it sounds like he might have some experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And hi, Lucille. Lucille is saying hi to us. It's good. Thanks for joining the show. So yes, definitely we might, as founders, think if somebody is referred to us from another person that we know, like, and trust, we might think that that is the solution and we trust that they're sending good people, but we still have to do our own assessment, even in the screening process. If something is giving off bad vibes, or there's saying things that are not consistent with how you believe or how you operate or what you stand for, and in the screening process, then I think that we need to be brave and go back to the person who referred them and tell them, I don't think they're a good fit and I won't be moving forward with them. But thank you for thinking of us. Appreciate you. I'll meet you for coffee later. Or something like that, to keep that relationship intact and not bring in this person who clearly is not the right fit for what it is that you're trying to build.
Not part of the time, often Pivot and Edges run interference for those kinds of hires. Put them into the process, let us evaluate those people against all the others that we find. And then at the end of the day, if we don't think they're the right people, we can talk to you about why they're not the right people and defend that decision. That often is a role we play. And I do think it's a good one. I mean, at the end of the day, we have no skin in that game at all. And there are situations where that's happened and we go, this is an excellent candidate. This person, relates to what you're doing, your vision, they're motivated to take you to the next level. They've got the experience. But then there are others you just look at and you say, okay, that person's background and experience, we would never have pulled them out of a pile. They don't seem to relate to what you want. They don't understand. And then we were able to kind of pull that and stand that through and run interference for people. So
Wow. And thank God for you and what you do, because especially for some founders, that can be really hard. They don't like having to be that person to say no to their friend's referral. You know what I mean? And Jamal Carter, 1990, says, yes, I have. He's been there with us, EA.
Well, it's interesting. The next comment is really interesting. Do you approach interviews differently? So the only thing I might say to that is our response is immediate because, someone in the organization has recommended that individual. So we make sure the follow-up is right away. We make sure that we let them know that we've heard from someone in the organization and they have recommended you, but the actual interviewing process is identical. We are ranking and rating that person against the same criteria that we would anybody else.
Got you. What a great question. Thank you, Arvid Mora. We appreciate that because basically the answer is the only preferential treatment they get is that they get seen sooner than later. That sounds like it. So that's the only thing different about the interview process is the timing, it sounds like. But all of the same qualifying factors that would qualify the next person to the same role, same questions. Great question.
What? One of the things that telltale signs we find about candidates, so because our clients, our customers, we do lots of storytelling. We do videos for the CEO. We post those videos online. One of the clearest ways for us to filter candidates is if they haven't done the research. So you get a candidate for an interview and you say, why are you interested in Pivot and Edge? And some candidates will say, well, so what job is this again I'm applying to?
What?
Oh yeah. Oh no, you get it all. You get it all. You get it all. So that's okay. If we're able to present the stories that we want to attract talent, and you don't have the time to research and read our stories, then that's an easy decision that you're not a fit for us. So, we get. It's that we should write a little coffee table book on like stories we hear from people that we recruit. It's
I can just imagine. I can only think, because this is what you do full time, all day, every day. I can only imagine the stories that you hear or how prepared or not. And one of the things I love, so when we went through that hiring blitz last year, you can tell because of AI, who used AI to create their resume and respond to our questions, because the responses were the exact same from candidate to candidate.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, wait, I just read this on this other resume. Why does it say the same thing on this other resume 2 days later from a different person?
Oh my gosh.
And
That's
so,
terrible.
yeah, I'm just like, really? Did anybody put any effort into putting, thought into responding to these questions, or is chat or whatever the AI is going to be now answering all the questions? And if that's the case, how much of your resume can I truly trust?
Yeah,
Is this really you?
Is it really you? Yeah, I mean, I often have family or friends, ask me, my son or daughter is looking for work and they can't seem to find a job. And what's really interesting about, sometimes they'll say, oh, I've applied to 100 jobs and I can't get one. Well, just the fact that you've applied to 100 jobs tells me that there's no way you would have been able to research those companies to truly understand the opportunity. So I spend time with them, saying, pick 20 of those 100 that you didn't get a job, and why did you apply? And usually the answer is, well, they wanted someone with 5 years experience in whatever. Well, if I have an opportunity to talk to anybody that's looking for work, be curious. Like, just be curious about what you want to do with your life. Like, if you're applying to one of our clients, you're going to learn a lot about them. We prepare that information. You'll get those stories. You'll get that information. But if you can't find it that way, kind of be curious. Who's the CEO? Who's the founder? What are they doing? What's their mission? What's their vision? And see if it relates to you. And then if you get an interview, that's the story you need to tell. That's going to set you apart from everybody else that gets interviewed. Like, I can tell you that I'm a programmer and I've worked for 5 years and I know how to code in whatever. But why don't I tell you why I want to work there?
Right. Exactly.
You just never hear that.
That's the separating factor. You stand out so head and shoulders above any other candidate. If you can go to the interview of this company and tell them why you're a good fit for them and they're a good fit for you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Love that.
That's the advice, yes, I'd give for sure.
Awesome. And so as you're helping founders build scalable hiring systems, how exactly does that work? How do you help founders build scalable hiring systems?
So it starts with understanding that marketing is the key component piece of that. And then so it's either one of two ways, Renee. It's they want to do it on their own and they hire us as a service provider to teach them. Or they say, we don't want to learn. We just want you to do it on our behalf. And we just do that as a monthly retained fee that handles all the recruiting assignments. But if they call us and say, we don't know how to do this, help us. We just had a call this morning about a company that really just wants us to help us do the marketing piece because they have a talent acquisition team. But what's really interesting, of course, when you ask more questions about even the talent acquisition process, it's flawed. The reality is we've been doing this now almost 9 years. We do have a best-in-class process that's tight. And so we have a tool, we have a software stack that looks a lot like marketing more than it does recruiting. But we teach you how to use that stack. And it's everything from an applicant tracker. Like, we talk to companies that track candidates on spreadsheets. And lots do. And you can only imagine, Renee, I saw this really good guy, and I've sent you his resume, and you get it, and it's your 20th email before noon, and you miss the guy, and then someone 2 days, 3 days later says, Renee, did you see that? Who was it? I can't remember his name, but so there's this whole process underlying. So you need tools. You need tools to be smart, right? So we have a tool, we have a software stack that we say, You need an applicant tracking system, and we've looked at dozens, and this is the best one on the market. And then you need a marketing tool, and you got to take your content and your stories, and you got to figure out a way to spread that information across the network. And we have an emailing system and a tracking system that allows us to do it. We call it the Trailblazers Hub. And we've even gamified that hub. So we can tell who shares content, who doesn't. We keep track of that. We can do the top sharers of content per month, per quarter. We've got another piece of software that's a dashboard that keeps track of all that information, so we can compare. Today's conversation was they want to compare Europe performance on sharing with North America's performance on sharing. So we're going to trade a head-to-head battle. Who's going to share more of the content? The guys in the US or the guys in Europe?
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry, let me make sure I understand. So like your clients or like the heads of HR are doing this for your different companies?
Well, the clients driven, we drive the process. So I'll just explain that a little bit. So
yeah, sounds like
one of the challenges that organizations face is that they have no methodology for sharing content. So that's a story of a CEO or story of a C-suite. Spotlights, we call them, which are employee stories, why they joined, what they do, awards that they won. So we built a very simple emailing system that people can opt in and decide they want to participate in. We call it the Trailblazer Hub. And so every time there's something to share, we send emails out to all the employees that have opted in. So typically it starts at the C-suite, and the CEO says, I would really like my organization to share more about what we do and why we do it, and the values of the things we win and the products we delivered. So could you participate in this ability to share stories? And we're going to put this out. So now you click yes, you're going to share. So now you're part of this hub. So I've got a story to tell. We just hired the vice president away from our largest competitor, and he or she has joined us, and welcome Renee, blah, blah, and then a little story about Renee. So that goes out and that permeates the network of all the employees and the ones that are opted in. Click on the link and share it with on LinkedIn, for example. Now we can track when you click on the link or you didn't. So I can tell how many times a month Renee shares stories.
Wow.
And in some of the customers, we actually do employee share of the month or the quarter. So we publish the top 5 sharers, and they all get Amazon gift certificates. It's nothing big, but they all get gift certificates that says, they're sharing, and that's exciting. And so in this particular case, we hadn't set it up for Europe yet, but I had set it up for North America. So one of the things I said to the director of marketing, I said, well, why don't we set it up for Europe and have them compete? See who, right?
Yeah.
So Carl actually liked that. And so we'll be setting that up, and it'll be interesting to be able to, the employees of the month, the top sharers of the content were people out of the US. You guys in Europe, you got to step up your game, man.
Right.
You're not sharing. So anyway, so that's a component piece of our process. So we teach our companies how to do those, how to track the process. We have software that does reference checking. We have software tools that will actually test for coding in technical environments, so people can actually code online and you can test their capabilities. And it's pretty sophisticated. You can't cheat. It registers MAC addresses, and you can't have 2 computers going from the same IP address. So it's really quite sophisticated. So all we've done is we've just looked the entire process from marketing all the way to hire, and said, we got to build software. We have to buy software to manage this. And so we just sit down with our customers, our clients, and say, if you want to do this on your behalf, here's what you have to buy. And we have to train you on these things. And sometimes they go, this is complicated, and we all often to say it's straightforward if you know how to do it, but it looks complicated from a distance. But so sometimes we'll teach them, and sometimes they let us do it for them. It just depends on where they see the value.
I love that you offer that as a done for you service, because I'm all for done for you. As a busy entrepreneur, and got my plate is already full. What you're saying sounds amazing, like something I would love to implement. I'm thinking, as a business owner, but adding another thing to my plate right now, that's not going to fly. That's not going to happen. So it's great that you offer it as a done for you service, so that people can still take advantage of these amazing tools that you have, and not have to get in the weeds of figuring it all out and trying to do it themselves, and having it take half a day to do it when your team could do it in 10 minutes.
Yes, it's and you're right. I mean, Pivot and Edge didn't always deliver all those things. And as an entrepreneur, you start off with a vision. But in year 3 and year 4 and year 5, we did not deliver the quality of service we deliver today. And well, you have Rebecca in the background there, but Rebecca often says to me, I'm really frightened to tell you that we've accomplished something that you've asked for, because as soon as we say that, you have another idea. But isn't that true? Isn't that true for an entrepreneur? Like, if I knew you could do this, then I need you to do this.
Right? Yes, exactly.
Right? So
that reminds me when my grandmother was teaching me how to make a bed, and she saw I was probably 5. And I was folding down the corners and flipping the edges under and all that. She's like, "Ooh, I didn't know you could do all that. You never should have told me you could fold down the corners."
Yeah, there you go.
You'd be making all the beds. I was like,
That's
"Oh, wait."
right. That is the case, isn't it?
For sure. Well, that is fantastic, though. And I just adore Rebecca, and thank her so much for introducing us, because we never would have had this interaction and engagement had we not connected through her. So I'm super.
No, it's good. It's good. I enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. And we also have someone named Teresa who is watching from Canada. I'm going to say Canada. It says CA. I'm going to assume
that's a Canadian flag there, I think. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yep. See, geography was never my thing. And our business parts. So, now let's talk a little bit while we still have a few more minutes.
Sure.
You have this way of turning company stories into talent magnets. And we kind of talked a little bit about why storytelling is so key to attracting talent. Can you share with us a story real quick where the narrative improved their hiring?
Yeah, I can actually. It came out of doing the video for the president and CEO, and he started to tell a story about penguins. And I had the same face you have right now. I'm like, oh, where is this gonna go?
Okay.
And so he said, I want to hire a company of penguins. And I said, you got to go further on that because it sounds ridiculous. And he said, all right, I'll tell you so apparently, and I did research afterwards, but penguins, when they're standing on an ice floe, they always send one penguin into the water first. Now, the reason they do that is their eyesights are not very good. And so it could be danger in that water. So there's always one penguin that will go first. So he kind of used that as an analogy to say, I want the first penguins. I want the ones that'll jump over. They won't know what's there. They don't know the risk, but I want the first penguins.
Mm.
And I thought, what a great, and I wanted to steal it but it was his, so I won't. I have to give him credit for it, or I would be slapping it all over our marketing, because I just think it's such a great idea. Yeah, I mean, he said, I just need people that aren't worried about taking chances. I'm trying to grow this organization. It takes risk. It takes risk seekers. So
Mhm.
I can't hire people that are, that are constipated, that can't make something happen, that need to execute. So we used
Right.
the story of the first penguin, and
Wow.
so we put some of that into the marketing, and you know, I thought it was a great attractor, and we did get feedback from candidates going, what a great story that was. And so
Mhm.
that it allowed them to resonate with something like that, and then be able to say, even I coached them to say, now, hopefully when you're doing your interviews, you ask that question, why are you considered the first penguin? And
Mhm.
I, I would love to hear some of the stories that would come back that would suggest that they are. And I would think every entrepreneur is.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Wow, what a great story. And I can only I'm envisioning in my head how you put the video together and of, what it means to be the first penguin,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking there are so many people who are risk averse and some who look for it with excitement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of those, but
Yeah.
I know that if that's the kind of person he's trying to attract, that was a perfect
Yeah.
visual stimulation to get them in their happy place.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if they're
Yeah. I
in
mean, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, describing that to someone that's not comfortable, I think that their immediate reaction would be, "Oh, no, no, no! I'm the guy that stays on the ice floe. I wait. I am okay. There are roles potentially for you somewhere else in the organization, but I'm the hiring manager, and I'm the hiring manager, and I need first penguins. So you're not
Mhm.
the guy. You're not the person for me. And if I'd hired you, you'd be in an environment that was totally uncomfortable for you,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't work for both of us."
Right, exactly. And they would be set up to fail because it's not a good fit.
Right,
So
right, right.
they would
Not
not
a
be a
good
good
fit.
hire. And
Yeah, you're right.
Amelia loves it. And she said, who doesn't love penguins? I know, right? I love that. I love it. Gosh, EA, can you believe it's been almost an hour we have been chatting?
That's great. I really enjoyed this. It was so much
Wow,
fun.
this has been so fun. So while we still have a couple minutes, we're going to get one principle from you. If there's nothing anyone remembers from today's show, what is one principle every single founder should follow?
Develop the story, practice
Mhm.
it, ensure that you've got it right, that it resonates with the kind of company that you want to build. And once you have it, tell it to everyone.
Mm, I love that. I love it. And you help them build the story, right? You help
We
them tell
do.
it.
We do. And, the story changes.
Mhm.
The year one story is not the year two story. It maybe not be the year three story.
Mm.
Um, But once you've nailed the story, then every social setting, every post, every communication channel you have, get it out there, make it consistent, and because the story also drives other stories of the executive suite that's coming along with you, right?
Right.
Um, so they have to be, and even today, still, I hear people say something at Pivot and Edge and go, "Oh man, they haven't got the story. I have to tell it again. That's
Yeah.
not right.
Oh,
I
yeah.
get no. Let me tell you where we're going again." And that doesn't
Mm.
fit quite right with that. So it never
Mhm.
stop. You never stop telling it. You
I
just got
love
to continue to do it. Yeah. And who doesn't like telling their own story?
I know. So good. Christelle says it's so inspiring and informative. I love it.
Oh,
Thank you,
oh,
Christelle.
thanks.
This has
Fantastic.
been so fantastic. And while we have a few more seconds, EA, where can people find you? Because they're going to continue the conversation with you and learn how to tell better stories.
So it's just my name, EA Clarke, at pivotandedge.com. Contact us at our website, pivotandedge.com, either or on my LinkedIn page. There you go. Yeah, I'm probably the only EA on LinkedIn. So there you go.
Awesome. So we have LinkedIn at E Clarke 2. We've got a Facebook page where we can follow you at Pivot and Edge. We've also got your Instagram, Pivot and Edge, everything Pivot and Edge. Well,
yeah. And you know what? The only story you didn't ask me to tell was about my initials, but we'll save that for another episode. And I'll leave with that.
Or maybe we'll include them in the show notes.
Okay.
And one of the things I did want to say, when you were talking about helping founders build their story and making sure that people understand it, I had a thought about building a hashtag around it. And so that when people are communicating or doing their shares, they have to always have a hashtag, whatever that is, for the company story. You know what I mean? And build a hashtag around it. And
okay, Rebecca's listening, so she's going to have to own that, Renee. That's a great idea.
I love it. Well, all right, Rebecca, let me know if you have any questions. EA, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You were made for something great. So go and be awesome.
Thank you. All right.